Alright guys, welcome back to another podcast of I'm Not Okay with Danny G. It's me, Danny G. I'm in the building. Obviously I'm in the building cause it's my building. But whatever. Alright guys, welcome back. I don't know. I was trying to do spooky cause it's fall, October, what the podcast is going to be about. So I was trying to do a spooky voice, but I don't think it worked. So, hi guys, welcome back. It is now October, the fall, my favorite season, above Christmas, above summer, above spring. It is all about the fall. I am ready to bust out my sweater weather. You have no idea. I rock a sweater. I can rock a mean sweater. I wish I could wear sweaters all year long. My dream place to live is like somewhere Seattle. Like gloomy and rainy and just like wear a sweater all the time and live that Bella Swan life. I'm so down to live that Twilight dream. Anyways, that's not what this podcast is about. This week's podcast, ooh, that was loud. This week's podcast, we are going to go into American Horror Story. I wish I had the intro and I could just put it right there because that intro like gives me the fucking feels. I love that noise of like the I don't want to do it, but like I love the intro of American Horror Story. It's my favorite. It's sometimes my favorite even above the season. I just love the intro, especially this season, because they mixed, like I said in a previous podcast, it's a combination of season 1 and season 3, Murder House and Coven. So mixing those two together is just like everything. So the intro's just awesome. But yes, this week's podcast is going to be about American Horror Story. And I talked about it in the past, and I said when it would start that I would talk about the new season. So here I am, talking about the new season. It has now been out for like a month. Like we're 4 episodes in. But I put my podcast out on Wednesday, and the episodes come out on Wednesday. So the 4th episode, I will not talk about right now, but if I can, I will do an update at the end of the podcast telling you what I thought of it. So far, we're just going to go into the first 2 episodes and part of episode 3. I'm in love with it, guys. It's called American Horror Story Apocalypse. I'm ready to talk about it, dive into it. Let's do it. I was kind of weary after the last season. Not that it wasn't a good season. It didn't intrigue me much. Like I've said before, my favorites are like the Murder House and the Asylum. I like the dark and I like the twisted and the raunchy and the places like you don't think to go. And this one was very political. And I know it was because it came out around the Trump time and the election, and we all know how everyone feels about that. So, blah, 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 blah. I just wasn't feeling it. And yes, they try to incorporate other things like, other cult leaders because, we're assuming that this generation is a cult who's, coming in with Trump and all that. So it had its moments. I did try. I watched the whole season. I paid attention to the whole season. It just wasn't one of those ones that I thought about all week and counted down for. I was just like, I love this show. I'm going to support it, so let me watch it. This one, though, this one is so good, guys. It's so good. Please, if you have not watched this season or if you're waiting to like binge watch it, don't listen to this podcast this week. Go listen to an old one. So that you don't get any spoilers. I won't try to spoil too much, but I'm going to talk about what I know so far and what I'm thinking, and you either aren't going to know or you're going to be super disappointed with what I say. So, now, for the people who are watching, and I'm talking watching every week like me. I've watched every week on Wednesday, and I even have rewatched it a few times. Not because I want to, but other people who I'm like pushing to watch, I'll watch it with them just because it's so good. And it's worth to watch it again. So this one is Apocalypse, and the first episode takes place in now time, like, I don't know what year. I'm going to assume 2018. But it's the now time, and everyone's just living their life, and then all of a sudden there is a nuclear attack. Like, iPhones are going off. The news is saying, like, it is the end of the world. It is not a drill. It is not a drill. You are going to die. And there is nothing you can do about it. That hit so hard for me for some reason. And they made it so realistic. Like, the news anchor man was like, this is it. We did it. We made it. And then he kind of all of a sudden realized, like, he wasn't going to make it at home in time to be with his family. And he was like, I'm sorry. I love you guys. And, like, it just cuts off. You just see all this chaos. People are running around. I don't even know what they're running to. I'm sure to go be with loved ones. But say you run to your loved ones, then what? Like, there's no escaping it. It's a nuclear attack, as in the entire world is going to be blown up. So it doesn't matter if you live in Texas and make it all the way to Timbuktu. Everything's gone. But apparently we start with this girl who's a hoity-toity rich girl that no one likes, but, you know, she's just the bee's knees. She's getting her hair done by this amazing gay hairstylist who is also known as Evan Peters. You know, if you know me, you know how I feel about Evan Peters. And I have just loved him ever since he was Tate. Oh, Tate. I love him every season. Okay, let me stop. I loved him a lot of the seasons. Like the Coven one, when he was just a zombie dude, I wasn't feeling. But he gets much love. Anyway, so he's the hairstylist for this Coco St. Pierre hoity-toity rich bitch. And her dad is in China, and he's like, hey, I'm letting you know there's a nuclear holocaust. I am never going to see you again. Get on a plane that I have. I think it was like their private plane, and get out. There, you will be safe if you get off of the ground and get in the sky, I guess. I don't even know. Anyway, so the Coco St. Pierre girl like rushes to the airplane, and the hairstylist overhears, and he like runs home and snatches his fucking rich fancy ass grandma and was like, yo, we got to go. This is not a drill. Like, it's the end of the world. And she's like, oh, la 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 la, my champagne isn't cold. Bitch, ain't no one care about your champagne. So all these, it's like him, her, Coco's assistant, his grandma, all make it to the airport, get on the plane. They get in the air because people are like attacking the plane now. They're trying to get out because, you know, when it's the end of the world, people go crazy. And like even on the way to the airport, some guy killed himself. And I'm guessing he wanted to die before he was killed in the apocalypse, which is also like, that made me so terrified. Watching this felt so realistic. I don't know, like, oh, I have goosebumps right now talking about it. I got goosebumps right now talking about it. It's just such a scary thought. I don't know. It gave me 9/11 feels. And yes, I was young when 9/11 happened. I was in 6th grade. So I don't know, like 13 or something years old. But looking back at it now as an adult, there were people who were like jumping out of that building because they wanted to die before they, you know, burned to death or something. Like it was so realistic. So anyways, these people make it onto the plane, they get away, and you're like, okay, oh, life is good. It's going to be okay. No, surprise, there's no pilot. And my whole thing was like, how was this plane flying? How did the plane take off if there was no pilot to begin with? There's no pilot. They're like, oh, let's find out where we're going, because they don't even know where they're going. They were just told, if you get on this plane, you're going to survive. But there's no pilot. And then I don't even know how it landed, because these people end up making it into this place, like some bunker that's fucking fancy as fuck, but it's a bunker in the end. And they make it, but how? How did they make it when there was no pilot? Especially if there was like a nuclear attack. Who was stopping their life to make sure this plane of people got to where it needed to go? That just sounds crazy to me. So anyways, those people make it to the bunker. Then you see another little guy. Well, not a little guy. You see a young boy. Just finds out he gets into college, and then the news gets out that, the world's ending. And then these people come, and they're like, hey, you have to come with us. You did a genetic testing, and you have, like, the perfect genes. So we're going to take you to this secret location and keep you safe during this nuclear attack. Because when it's done, we want you to live and reproduce in the world. Let me tell you, I have heard so many crazy things about these, like, genetic testing, like Ancestry.com and 23andMe. And I feel like they were kind of a big deal way back in the day when it was like, oh, do you want to know, like, if you were related to George Washington or Janet Jackson or something like that? But now I feel like they push it so much, and I always see it to the point where, like, YouTubers I watch, they do it and they're like, oh, you should do it too. I just feel like it's if you know me, you know I believe in conspiracies, and I think there's a big conspiracy around it. And this is what I think. If you take one of those tests, you are giving away your DNA and all your genetics that are found in this testing, which means the government is holding all of it to do what they want. They can clone you. They can kill you if they're like, hey, you have AIDS and the AIDS population's getting big. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I just believe that if you take this genetic testing, your DNA and your genetics is out there for them to do with what they want. I don't like that feeling. That makes me so uncomfortable. And I'm not one of those, like, super paranoid people, because in all honesty, if the government wanted us, like, I know they could take us or do whatever they want. And no, I'm not special. And no, I don't think I have some secret DNA that's so special and spectacular. But also, I don't feel like I want to give out my shit all willy-nilly. So, back to the show. Sorry, I'm a conspiracy theory person, and I just wanted to put it out there that I don't believe in turning in my DNA stuff. Even if, like in the show, they came up to me and were like, okay, well, you did this test, and you're like the perfect specimen, and we're going to take you, and da-da-da. No, please don't. There doesn't need to be not one more of me in this world, I am telling you. So the boy gets taken away from his family, and they take him to, like, I don't even know where, somewhere underground, and he's in a cage, and then there's another girl in there, and they did the same thing to her. They took her too, and they put her in there, and apparently she is what's going to restore the earth after this, attack is done. So they're in there for, I don't remember what it said, like 2 weeks or 4 weeks. And then they get taken to that bunker where those other people at the beginning of the show go. And you're like, okay, so you either have to have perfect genetics or a lot of fucking money to live after this nuclear attack. Like, those are your only two ways you're making it. You're a billionaire, or you have something in your DNA that is needed in the future. So you go to this bunker, and it's like, let's see who's there. The hairdresser's there. That Coco girl whose hair he did is there. Her assistant's there. The hairdresser's grandma. There's like 2 gay guys that we don't know how they got there. So we don't know if they're there because of their genetics or their money. And then also there's like this black news anchor woman. And we don't know her story either. She's just there. So then also these 2 kids show up. So now we're like up to 9 people. And you're like, okay, interesting. These are the people that are going to repopulate the earth? Well, that's what I'm thinking. And then as the 2 young kids get there, the ones that were being protected, the owner of the bunker is Miss Wilhelmina Vanderbilt. Sarah Paulson, her real name. I love her. I have loved her throughout so many seasons of this show. I loved her when she had 2 heads. I loved her when she was a sleazy reporter, when she was a fortune teller, and when she was a fucking witch. She was the shit. Love her. Well, this season, she's kind of like this bitchy, I own this house and you're going to follow my rules kind of lady, which I still love. So the kids get there and she's telling them, you're important, so you're a purple. And purple means that you are intended to live through this nuclear war. And then there's the grays. And the grays are just really like slaves. Well, she called them like worker ants. And for any society to work, you need good worker ants, so that's what they are. So there's only purples and grays. And, of course, she's neither. She's motherfucking Wilhelmina Vanderbilt, and she ain't got no color. She just runs stuff. Well, she runs this bunker, this little correction place. So every night, everyone's supposed to dress up in their purple clothes and go to some dinner, and then they're offered, I don't even know what it is. It's been said that all it is like a block of every vitamin and nutrient you ever need, but it's so tiny. It looks like a white Jell-O cube. That's exactly what it looks like, a white Jell-O cube. It does not look appetizing, it is not filling, and no one ever seems happy about it. So the purples come down and eat their fancy-ass dinner in their cube of fucking weird shit, and while they're eating dinner, still first episode, there is a spike in the radiation, and someone is giving off radiation. So Kathy Bates, who is the protector of the bunker and make sure everyone is clean and clear and good to go, does some testing, and she finds that the hairdresser and one of the gay guys both show that they have radiation, so they take them to go get cleaned. Well, gay guy makes it because they test them again after they're cleaned. He's good. Other gay guy, he's not good, and she just kills him. Next night for dinner, they're eating big old chunks of meat, and everyone's freaking out. They're like, oh my god, this is the guy, and then everyone's like, then some people are like, no, it can't be him, he was toxic, and if he was toxic, they wouldn't feed him to us, because then we would become toxic, and then what would be the point of that? Come to find out, at the end of the night, after he died, Sarah Paulson and Kathy Bates are talking, and they're like, oh, how did you do that? And she was like, oh, you just lower the sensitivity, so anyone could have gone off. So he was never even dirty to begin with. They were just knocking people off for fucking shits and giggles, which is so scary to think about. You're not even putting your life, you have no choice but to put your life in these people's hands, and they're just killing people for fucking sport. It is so scary. Scary. They're living their life, and they are just, every day, they have to eat the same little square, they listen to the same fucking song, and they're all trapped in the same room. Day in, day out, day in. Weeks, months go by. And it is just crazy to think about, that could happen. Or imagine if that were to happen, just being in one room all day with the same people listening to the same one song. There's no phones, there's no electronics, there's no electricity. This nuclear attack took out everything. So there's just candles. All of a sudden, there's a knock at the door, and they have a special guest. There's some creepy guy there. Come to find out, his name is Michael Langdon. And I don't remember Tate's last name. But the way that the show was, advertised, you're just assuming that this is the Antichrist. He just looks like the Antichrist. And that means his dad is Tate, which means Tate has to be around somewhere. He just has to be. In my little heart of hearts, I know it. So anyways, Michael comes along and he prepares a meeting, and he's going to decide on who's going to this sanctuary he's talking about and who's not. And at his sanctuary, it has everything they need, and there's food for months, and you can procreate there, and it's just this great place. Well, he's the one who's deciding, and Miss Sarah Paulson is not feeling it, and neither is Kathy Bates. They're both like, we like where we are, because even though we're not following the rules, we get to make our own rules. And so he's like, I'm here, and I'm above you, so you're going to listen to me. So then he takes, a look at everyone, and he's talking about what his idea is. And he's like, it's okay if you don't make it to the sanctuary. You can stay here and try your best odds. Or I could leave you with this little white pill. You take it, you go to sleep, and you die. Your choice. Very nice, right? I love those options. I can go to the sanctuary. I can stay here and maybe live. Or I can take this white pill and die. The hairdresser volunteers first, and he's like, I'll go, you can tell me if I'm gonna make it or not. And he starts talking to Michael. They're both giving off each other these weird gay dude vibes. I don't know. And Michael's like, tell me about you. And he's like, oh, I'm just here with my grandma. And he's like, do you love your grandma? And he's like, no, I hate that bitch. She's always trying to make me the perfect gay. I'm not the perfect gay. I'm more that raunchy type who wants to do what I want. Yada, yada, yada. They go into the flashbacks and stuff. Well, the hairdresser is like turned on by Michael and telling his story and all that because he thinks Michael's getting turned on by it. And he's like, well, so did I get in? And he's like, I'll tell you later. Well, when the hairdresser goes back to his room, there's a knock at the door. And when he opens the door, guys, do you know who's there? It is the leather guy from season 1, which technically is Tate if you're going by, the seasons. Okay, let me back it up because I get so overwhelmed. So he opens the door. It's the black leather guy. We don't know who it is and who's under it. But the black leather guy shows up and the gay hairdresser and him do it. And the gay hairdresser the whole time is thinking that it's this Michael guy. After that's done, the grandma hears what's going on, opens the door, and sees her grandson getting it. And she's like disgusted and ashamed, even though she knows her grandson's gay. I don't know. So she goes to tattletale on him because she's like, if I tell on him, maybe it'll higher my chances of me getting to the sanctuary than him. Even though this bitch is like 80 years old, like there's no reason for you to go to the sanctuary. Like, you lived your life, be done, bitch. So she goes tell Kathy Bates and Sarah Paulson, and they're like, oh, no, we can't have that. So they're punishing him, and they think that it is the Michael guy the whole time, and that they're both in on something, which isn't even the case. So after they're done punishing him, Michael shows up to the gay hairdresser guy, and he's like, oh, what's going on? And the hairdresser's like, oh, they found out about us having sex. And he's like, I never had sex with you. He's like, yeah, you did. You came in my room in that black leather suit. And he's like, I wouldn't fuck you if you were the last guy on earth. And you pretty much are. Woo! That was a fucking comeback if I ever heard one. So, let me stop right there real quick because these are my thoughts. The black leather guy was Tate in season 1. So, either Tate is doing himself in some weird universe, or Tate is doing the hairdresser who is gay, but Tate's not gay. He wasn't gay in season 1. He knocked up the mom, which gave him this Antichrist kid. Also, one other point I want to make is that season 1, whoever was murdered, and murdered in the house, they stay in the house. The only time they can leave is Halloween. And they're not saying what time it is, but I think like 2 or 3 days have passed and this black leather guy is in the building. So who is the black leather guy? Or are we supposed to ignore the fact that it's from season 1? Are we supposed to ignore that he's from season 1? Or does Michael, this Antichrist dude, like have powers that lets the black leather guy come and go as he pleases? Does that mean other characters from the murder house can go and come as they please? It's just been leaving me with more questions than answers, guys. And it's driving me nuts. But it's so good and so worth it. Okay, so next is Sarah Paulson, Miss Wilhelmina Vanderbilt. And she wants to talk and find out if she's going to go to the sanctuary or not. And Michael's like, well, I found out that you've been kind of running this place like as your own. And you're calling all the shots and forbidding them to even make love. Which the whole thing is like, we need to procreate to restart this world. It's not cool. Let's see what your flaws are. Take off your clothes. And he like looks at her big ass crooked back because I think she has scoliosis. And he's like, oh, does it hurt? It's like he likes to get to the root of what bothers you. That's what I'm getting from him. That's why I get that like Antichrist vibe from him. And she's like, yes, da-da-da. I hate my life. And this is what makes me happy. And she's like, so do I get in? And he was like, no. Oh, cool. Well, while Michael's deciding who's going to go to the sanctuary and who's not, those 2 young kids are really upset because they've fallen in love with each other over time and they're not allowed to procreate. So they like secretly hold hands and secretly like give each other kisses. And they want to know if they're going to go to the sanctuary or not. So they like bust into Michael's room at the building and they're like, let's find out if we're going to make it or not. Well, they go through his laptop, which all of a sudden works, and I don't even know how that is. Like, this guy has, like, a freaking MacBook, and it works. Wi-Fi or something. And they're looking at it, and they see that Miss Wilhelmina has lied, and she's been doing her own stuff, and it's not okay, and that they could have been having sex this whole time. So, they take it upon themselves to just go and bang it out. They do it. They're done. They crash because they both, I don't even know if they're virgins or not, but they haven't had sex in a good minute. So they just pass out. Kathy Bates finds them and she's like, oh, no, no, no. And she grabs Miss Wilhelmina, Sarah Paulson, and she's like, look what they were doing. We got to punish them. So they take them to the cleaning room and I guess they're about to off them. And the boy gets real fucking brave all of a sudden. He's like, nah. And he snatches the gun that they were going to use to shoot him and the girl with. And he shoots Kathy Bates. When she runs out of the building, she grabs her side where she got shot and opens her outfit and she's like made of metal. What is that? So is she a robot? And if she's a robot, why does she dress as if she's gonna get radiation? Is she playing the part? I don't know what's going on there. Like, that's a whole nother thing. So now there's robots in this nuclear attack. I have no idea. So then that's where I'm left off now. I haven't seen episode 3 yet or episode 4. So I just wanted to, I really wanted to touch base after the first episode, but I've been so busy and all this and that. So I wanted to talk about the first one and I guess now the second one because I've seen it. And at the end of the second episode, they show what's going to happen next week. So I don't know what's going to happen next week, but it looks like the witches are coming. Also, they played a Fleetwood Mac song. That same song they listen to every day. That one song there's got to be a morning after. I think it's called The Morning After. Anyways, that song all of a sudden switched up and it was a Fleetwood Mac song. And that just tells me the witches are fucking coming. Hello, Stevie Nicks was the pinnacle point of the coven. And I did hear she was going to be in this season. So I don't know if she's coming in next episode or if the witches are, but I got a strong feeling them witches is coming. I'm loving it so far. I know we're only 2 episodes in, but I'm already ready for this whole combining the first season and third season plus this season to happen. I'm just ready for the juices to start flowing. And then let's say the witches do come in. Are they immune to what happened and how did they survive the nuclear attack? And what is their, not their purpose, but what is the point of them? What are they going to do? I'm just so excited, guys. I'm so pumped. I'm so about it. I'm so ready for it. I'm ready. I still want to know who the F is in that leather costume. Because if it wasn't Michael doing the hairdresser, who's doing the hairdresser? And he's been around. He's kind of been lurking in places where other people can't see. Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm so scatterbrained because it's late and I'm tired and I'm hungry. But back to the show. After Michael said that he wasn't the leather guy to the gay guy's like, what? Oh my God, who did I have sex with? And he's super depressed and in his feels. Well, as he's sad, he sees the Leatherface guy again and he's like, what the fuck? And he's mad, but you don't know right away. So he lures him back to his room and he's on top of him, grinding on him, pulling the leather so it bounces back on his skin. I don't know. They're doing weird kinky shit. Then all of a sudden he reaches for these scissors and he just starts stabbing the fuck out of the leather guy. Just going at it. And then all of a sudden his door opens and he sees it's Michael, who he thought was leather guy. And he's like, okay, if you're standing there, then who am I stabbing? When he turns back around, surprise, surprise, it's the grandma. It was the grandma. He killed his own grandma, who, yes, he said he hated, but he was one of those, he hated her, but he also kept protecting her and defending her. But at the same time, you could tell if she died, he wouldn't be that sad about it. So he ended up killing his own grandma. And then Michael looked happy. He looked like he got off in some way. Yes, this is what I wanted. This is what I'm thriving for. So you really don't know what's happening there either. So it's a lot going on. And it is so exciting. And I am so ready for the new episode. It comes out later on. So that'll be episode 3. And then when this comes out, episode 4 will be out. So I'm not behind. I'm actually ahead of the game. But I am recording at these crazy times. All this different stuff is going on. But do not worry. I will probably maybe do every few episodes, come back and do an update of what's going on and all that for the people who missed an episode or who actually care what I say and want to follow what I'm saying through the show. It is so good. I'm so ready for the witches. I don't know who's coming. All we see is these people in black capes who are just walking out in the open when you're not supposed to the little bunker they're at. That's what's making me think it's the witches. But the witches, I don't get. And then I feel like now I need to go back and watch because I know some of the witches died or some aren't going to be there. Now, I do know some based off, like, the name of the credits are coming in. Like, Emma Roberts is going to be there. That Teresa something. I don't think Precious is going to be in it. I know, like I said, Stevie Nicks is going to be in it. I thought I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, please someone tell me in the comments, that Jessica Lange is coming back for this season. Maybe for an episode or two, or maybe, I don't know when or how, but I did hear Jessica Lange was coming back. So I'm interested to see how that's going to happen. And also when these other characters from the past start coming into this season now, how does that affect the people they're playing? I mean, I know there's Hollywood magic to, like, make it look like this or make it look like that, but Sarah Paulson was in the Coven season, the Murder House season, and now the Apocalypse season. All 3 different people. And all of a sudden she's going to be all 3 people in this season. So I'm very curious to see how, like, that's all going to combine. It's exciting. Oh, I'm so excited, guys. I hope you're excited. I hope you're watching it. Please like, comment, go follow me on everything so we can talk about it because I am all about it and I want to talk about it. Please go follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Snapchat. Find me. I am there. I'm always ready and willing to talk. You can even watch my podcast on YouTube now. Not really watch, but you can listen to my podcast on YouTube. You can comment on there. I will comment back. So please go follow me. Like I said, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube. I'm there. I'm always about it. Please, guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I hope you listened to it and could follow it because I kind of got a little all over the place, but I just get really excited about American Horror Story because it is my top 3 favorite shows. Like, Office is number 1. American Horror Story, I think, is number 2. Let's talk about it. I would love to find people who love it. And I do try to tweet about it. Like, I live tweeted the first episode. I don't think I did the second one only because I was really interested trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. But I'm on Twitter. I reach out to the people. I reach out to the celebrities. I don't care. I hashtag it. I'm about it. Go join the conversations. Let's talk about this season. Tell me what you think is going to happen. Please. Please. All right, guys. That is it for this week's podcast. I hope you enjoyed. And as always, I'm not okay. I'm really, really not. Something's wrong with me. But I will get through it. And I hope you're not okay. And then we can get through our shit together. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye. All right, guys. As promised, I am back with an update. I have watched 2 more episodes since I've made this podcast. So I've watched episode 3 and episode 4. I did do a recap after watching those 2 episodes, like right after, super detailed. I was really proud of myself. But because I'm not okay and an idiot, I was like, oh, I'll just edit it later. Put it off. When I finally edit my podcast, the footage is nowhere to be found. I've looked through like all my other old podcasts thinking maybe I put it in one of those. I don't know. So it's gone. So here I am doing another recap. So I'm hoping it'll be just as good. I just don't know if it'll be as detailed because I made it right after watching episode 4 and I still remembered episode 3. So this is going to be the recap for episode 3 and episode 4. The next episode actually comes on tomorrow night. So when that goes on, I'll be live tweeting, so I'll be around if you want to chit-chat about it. Spooky stuff. But okay, so episode 3 was a Halloween episode, which was kind of exciting. A little early on in the game, but I'm not mad about it. I was still, with it and about it. Loved it. So what had happened was that Miss Wilhelmina and Kathy Bates, I don't know why I can never remember that character's name, but Miss Mead. Miss Wilhelmina and Miss Mead, they want to make sure that people that are at the outpost don't go to the sanctuary. And they want to kind of have control still because, well, they're selfish ass people. Unbeknownst to them, they receive a package of apples. Beautiful, red, delicious apples, which are my favorite, BTW. But please, don't give me a red apple because I will not trust you now. They get a package of red apples. And They were like, this is beautiful. There's enough for everybody. And then they had the idea of, well, if we poison these apples and everyone dies, then no one goes to the sanctuary. And they were like, oh, okay. But they all have to eat them at the same time. Okay. And that's like kind of hard because, dinner, sometimes someone might not eat right away. So then the brilliant idea came up, let's have a Halloween party. And at the Halloween party, we will do bobbing for apples, and everyone gets to take one apple out of the bob, and then at the very end, everyone eats them together. That was the plan there. And then, pause before I continue there. Backtrack a little. The very first episode, the Coco St. Pierre girl had a boyfriend, and he was supposed to meet her at the airport, but he didn't get there in time because, well, it's the fucking apocalypse, and, no one's planning on it. So he didn't make it in time, but we're all just under the assumption he died. Well, come to find out, he didn't die. He survived the apocalypse somehow, but he's so disgusting looking. Like, covered in warts, and his hair's missing. He probably has, 7 different cancers, but hey, he's alive. He's alive and kicking. And his whole thing is, he's trying to find his girlfriend. He kind of put some pieces together, and he ended up finding her. And he found out she was at the outpost. Found a way to get to the outpost by hanging on to this carriage that was carrying a box of apples. Yes. Okay. So remember that little backstory there because it comes back up again. So there's this big Halloween party and they're dress up. Even the ugly, not the ugly people, but even the gray people can dress up. Everyone's going to go and everyone's going to get an apple because it's not that big of an outpost. There's less than 20 people total in the outpost, so there was enough apples for everyone. The only person who didn't want to go was Michael. He wasn't feeling it. He's just too good for that life. But in my mind, I already had a feeling he had to have known what's going on. That guy knows everything. He's the devil's son. Hello. So Michael doesn't go to the party. Everyone else does. Everyone goes in costumes, masquerade kind of theme, because they don't have a lot of clothes to make costumes. But it's still cute, and everyone looks real nice and lavish. And everyone gets to take a turn of biting the apple. It's super cool. Well, then they're dancing and having a good time, and Miss Coco St. Pierre goes off and dances with this guy in a mask, and she doesn't know who it is, because, technically you kind of know everyone there, so she's assuming it's Michael, and the guy in the mask takes her off to another room, and she's like, oh, I'll do anything to go to the sanctuary, she's talking all this kinky stuff, and she's like, even stuff I never did with my boyfriend, and right when she's, about to get to it, he's like, surprise, bitch, it's me, and she's like, oh my God, there you are, but I really don't want to touch you. You could just tell she was happy, but disgusted and horrified all at the same time. And I guess he was feeling hurt and betrayed, so he just straight up killed the bitch. Whacked her in the head. Took an axe and whacked her in the head. That was it. And then you don't even know where he goes. He just disappears or he vanishes and no one knows he's in the house. I'm pretty sure Michael knows, but if he does, he never said anything about it. So you get back to the party, and everyone gets an apple, and Miss Wilhelmina's like, all right, everyone has their apple, take a bite, and they all take a bite, even Miss Wilhelmina and Miss Mead, and their apples, of course, are not poisoned. So everyone takes a bite, and as soon as they finish swallowing that first bite, everyone starts projectile vomiting and just, disgusting puking everywhere. They're puking on each other, puking on furniture, puking on the floor. And then after that, they all just drop to the floor and start having seizures and die, straight die. Because what they did is somehow, don't know how, these snakes keep coming around. But they got snakes with venom, and Miss Mead took the venom out of the snakes and syringes venom into all the apples. So everyone dies. And my first thought was, wow. That was a short season. That's it? How the heck were they going to continue the show if everyone's dead? Everyone. After that, Miss Mead and Miss Wilhelmina go up to Michael's room and they're like, hey, you didn't go to the party, but we brought you an apple anyways. We really want you to enjoy it. And he's like, no, bitches. I know what you're up to. I know what you're doing. He's like, hello, I'm the devil's son. Wilhelmina's like, you know what? Forget this. Like, just shoot him, Miss Mead. And they pull out a gun, and she's pointing it at Michael, and he wills her to turn it from Wilhelmina, who she trusts and, follows to the end of the earth, puts it to Miss Wilhelmina, shoots her, kills her. She's dead. Then Miss Mead is like, oh my God, I didn't want to do that. Why did I do that? And Michael's like, I made you. He's like, I made you do that because you were never supposed to follow her. It was me. I'm the one you were supposed to follow. You've always felt so close to a boy that you couldn't remember. It was me. I blocked your memories. So then she was like, oh my God, you're the boy who's I've always dreamt about, like her long lost son. But, and I'll get into it later on because of the next episode, you figure out their history a little more. So anyways, going forward, Miss Mead and Michael now are the only two alive. And everyone's dead. Everyone. And you're kind of like, what just happened there? So then, all of a sudden, these three black figures start walking so fast that they're like gliding on the floor, and they go to the outpost. And they're not wearing any protective gear. So they're like immune to everything, which is weird because no one is. Then again, it's American Horror Story, and everyone's like a mythical creature somehow. So then, three figures go gliding into the house. And all of a sudden, you get to see, oh my God, the three witches from American Horror Story Coven. It is Miss Cordelia, Miss Montgomery, and the redhead one who I can never remember her name, but she's awesome and she's hilarious and she has like the greatest sense in fashion and like just knows everything and has like the greatest comebacks ever, but I can't remember her name. These three witches come and they're like, all right, find them. Or Cordelia says. So they line up these three girls and apparently they're witches because, boom, they come back to life. The reporter comes back to life, Miss Coco St. Pierre, and Coco's assistant. Coco's assistant always felt a little off and a little different. And when Michael was trying to figure out if he wanted to take her to the sanctuary, he could tell, too, that she had a power in her. And she didn't even know it either. Now, when the black lady comes back, she's just, like, not about it. She's not happy. And she's like, I didn't sign up for this, and I'm not doing nothing y'all tell me. Like, she just came in with a whole bunch of attitude. And before she died, she seemed like super nice and was like, no, guys, there's a purpose for everything. So it was really weird to see her kind of like switch real quick. And I couldn't tell if when they brought these three witches back to life, if they're the people they are or if they were like witches in a different body. I didn't know. So that was my thoughts on that. Then all of a sudden, episode ends, guys. That's it. But it was so good. You're like, oh my God, I need more. So that was episode 3. Jumping into episode 4. It's a little bit of a back history one, but it's so good. And oh my God, is it like a mix of other seasons that you will love. So good, guys. Okay, diving in. So the premise of episode 4 is more of a back history on Michael, but it's not all the way from like his birth to where he is now. It's more like he's younger. He's younger, but we don't know his age because he's an older gentleman in real life, so they just put like a short wig hair on him and they made him younger. So I don't know if he's supposed to be 12 or if he's supposed to be 16, but we know he's a young person in the flashbacks. So the flashbacks begin with Michael being a young boy, and we see he's raised by no other than Miss Mead. And technically it's not his mom. He says it's not his mom. She says that's not his mom, but she's raising him. He notices he has power. And the whole show, the whole episode, he knows he has power, and I'm not sure if like he knows how strong he is, or if he honestly is like, oh my God, what am I doing, or how am I doing this? Because he's doing stuff that is super crazy. So the first flashback was of Miss Mead and him like at a market, and she wanted, I think, like a goat head. And the guy was like, no, I can't give you that. And she's like, I have to. It's for my satanic stuff. And he was like, no, I'm not going to help you be a crazy lady. So she gets real upset. And Michael notices that she's upset. And, he's feeling that. So he takes the anger that she has and takes it out on the guy that's selling the meat. And he kills him. Straight kills him. And I guess it got recorded. So he goes to jail. And in jail, the police are interrogating him, and he gets so mad that he hurts them. He looks so scared, like he didn't know what he was doing. So it's so conflicting to know, well, did he know what he was doing? Does he know who he is and how strong he is? Then it doesn't help that his mother figure is like very satanic and devil worshipping, and does she know who he is, or is she just crazy and they found each other? Like, that's not explained. While all that's going on in his life, we see that there's a new school that was around the same time as the Coven School. And this one is for warlocks, which are males who are witches, but they're called warlocks. So there's a warlock school out there, and we get to see these 4 teachers, and they're teaching boys. It was just like Coven, but for boys. They have powers too, and they can do things. And the 4 teachers, or the 4 administrators of the school, come across this video of a boy who has these great powers, and they were like, let's take him in, let's teach him how to use his powers, and we will see what he's about. And one of the teachers thinks that, wow, he is so strong and he doesn't even know it, he must be something great. So one of the teachers goes to the jail, takes Michael, and was like, let's go. I'm going to take you to this school. You're not alone. There's more people like you, and we're going to help you. And he was like, okay. So, there was no fighting. He goes to the school, and he's learning, and he's doing everything that the kids are doing. And then all of a sudden, the teachers are like, they could just tell he has more power than the average warlock. So they run some tests on him. And it's like these element tests of like, you have to move from one place to another, or change the weather in a room. And he not only like passed the test, he passed the test with flying colors to the point where the teachers were scared. These 4 warlock teachers all have powers, but they can only do so much. So every test that Michael did, only one of those teachers could do one of those things. Yet Michael could do all of them and beyond. So they were impressed. So they took it upon themselves to call in the Coven witches, because they're the best. And they were like, hey, we think we found something amazing. We need you to look at this kid and see what he can do. Well, I don't know really the history of warlocks and witches and why they're not friends, or if they are, or what's going on there, because you would think work together, right? But when the witches get there, they're just like not impressed. They're not happy. They don't want to be there. They're kind of looking down on him. And Cordelia is the supreme at this point, and they're like, we want to do the test of the 7 wonders on this kid. Cordelia like shuts it down. She's like, no, I'm not doing it. And they're like, oh, you're just doing this because you want only witches to rule the world. And she's like, well, only witches are the ones who can ever complete the 7 wonders of the world. Being a witch has something to do with like being a woman, and it just can't be done by a man. And, very sexist, very rude, kind of degrading. Then one of the warlock teachers brings up how like one of the witches he thought could have been supreme was Precious. I don't remember her name in the movie, guys, and I know that's the only way we're all going to remember her is because she was in that movie Precious. So Precious could have been supreme, he felt, and he was like, no, you didn't let it happen because she was black. So then they bring in this whole race thing. Cordelia shuts that down, and she's like, no, that had nothing to do with it. I wanted her. I'm sad when I could not find her. She left me. She ran off. And then we no longer were in contact, and I couldn't feel her spirit anymore. Cordelia's like, but I went and I looked for her. And sure enough, I found her. And do you know where she was? Hotel Cortez, the Lady Gaga season. American Horror Story Hotel. So good, so good. That one's like a whole nother world. And I totally forgot that like the hotel itself was like a character. So Cordelia goes to the Hotel Cortez and finds Precious there, and she's with the guy who built the hotel, Evan Peters, and that character. And they're just chilling playing cards. Well, she's like, all right, I'm here to get you. Let's go. And she can't leave. Her body, her soul, her mind, her spirit, all of it is trapped in the hotel. So she tried. She said, I think she tried for like weeks, maybe months to get her out, and she couldn't. So what's her name? Precious was always there, but she can never leave. Well, as Cordelia's explaining this story, Michael's upstairs in his room. I don't know how close he is to like the conversation, but he's listening, and he's doing this weird satanic thing, and his eyeballs are all wide, and he's like having a seizure, and he's drawing, but he looks blind, and he's drawing the Hotel Cortez. So he goes to the Hotel Cortez I guess while Cordelia is talking, in warp speed, and he goes up to her and he's like, all right, let's go. And Precious is like, I don't know you and I ain't going with you. But the guy who built the hotel, the most like sadistic man ever, was like, you're going to go with him. I have a presence that I can feel from him and it is very strong and you need to go with him. So she's like, okay, I guess I'll go. So then Michael takes Precious and they go to another place. And that is where we find Miss Madison Montgomery. She's like in her own personal hell, and in her own personal hell, it's like she is a cashier at a Bed Bath Beyond type of place. That's what I got from it. There was like a lot of towels, a lot of interior decorating stuff, and she's just annoyed, and she knows she's in her own personal hell, which I think sucks so much worse to know that you're there and you can't get out. So she's just reliving it over and over and over, and she's not about it. He's like, let's go, I'm going to take you out of here. And she's like, I don't even know who you are. And then she sees Precious and she's like, oh, okay, well, if he took her, I'll go too. So he takes those two girls out of wherever they were and he goes back to the Warlock School, which, surprise, surprise, is the outpost. So I don't know how or when that Warlock School became so secure that it was an outpost in the apocalypse, but that's how that went. As Cordelia is leaving the Warlock School and it's like, no, we're not doing the 7 Wonders. It has nothing to do with anything bad. I'm just not going to hurt anyone. I'm not going to lose another person because of this that I know won't pass. Michael comes up in slow-mo with Precious and Madison looking all bad and bougie. And they're like, yeah, we here. We in it. Cordelia sees them, drops to the ground. Drops. Like, the redhead girl is like, oh my god, what's wrong? And then also the other witch who went with her, sorry, I forgot to mention her. She's actually my favorite character in every season she's in. I love her. I don't even remember her name. I never remember her name, but it's Tate's girlfriend in season 1. What is her name? I don't know. But anyways, when she was in Coven, she was in love with Evan Peters in that season 2, and she was, about him until he turned into Zombie Boy. So she's there in the Supreme Council with Cordelia and the redhead. So when Cordelia falls to the ground, those two witches are like, oh my god, are you okay? Are you okay? And then sure enough, Precious and Madison go running over to make sure she's okay. And she's just in shock that Michael, and she still doesn't know about him that much. Like, she's never seen his face. She didn't run the test on him. But she's seeing this guy who apparently has more power than her, I think. And it just like knocked her off her feet. And it was crazy, guys. It was such a good episode. Oh my god. To mix like other seasons and see old characters mixed with these new characters. It's so crazy because everyone in the original cast of Apocalypse just dropped dead. And you thought that there was no more. They brought it back, y'all. They brought it back. So that is my recap on episode 3 and 4 of American Horror Story Apocalypse. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, tomorrow the next episode comes on. It's 9 p.m. on FX. I will be live tweeting it. I have to go to bed early because I'm an old person, but I will always stay up and watch American Horror Story. So if you're up and you're watching, let's talk about it. I want to talk about it. If I missed anything, tell me. Or if you're seeing something, let me know because I'm loving to look for like these clues of what's going to happen next. I'm still waiting for Tate. Where is he? I heard rumors Jessica Lange was coming back. Where is she? I want more. I'm loving this season, every minute of it. So good, guys. I'm excited. I hope you enjoy. And as always, I'm still not okay, even with this update, because I lost the original, and I hope you're not okay, and that you are understanding, and we cannot be okay together and watch American Horror Story together. Alright, guys. Bye!